Hi, I'm Jeff,
And I'm Felicia.
and we've been traveling the world for a number of years now, but more specifically for the last few weeks, almost a month. And where in the world are we?
We are in Ferrara, Italy. So, Ferrara is a city in northern Italy, right about between Venice and Bologna, right? And we have family who lives here. So, we get to spend some time here, which is really cool because who gets to like live in Italy for weeks at a time? But we do.
Yeah, and we decided a little while ago that as we travel, we'd like to share some of those experiences with everybody else. So we've been recording a number of videos for the last few weeks on a number of different ways. We have a little bit of an interesting story on how we ended up here in Italy. So we'd like to tell you a little bit more about that. But before we do, what is this building behind us?
So this is the Castello d'Este. So when you think about Italian Renaissance and you think about the Middle Ages, you think about Isabella d'Este, who was like a huge patron of the arts and got a lot of things going in Florence. Well, one of her maybe brothers, I can't remember exactly what the lineage is, but anyway, married a woman called Lucretia Borgia, who at the time was the daughter of the Pope. So the Pope sent her here to establish a presence in northern Italy for the Papal States, and this is the castle that they had built. So here I am on the drawbridge of the Castello d'Este, which is a working open museum actually most of the time. It's 12 euros to get in. There's a courtyard that's a little bit further in, the drawbridge that takes you into it, and then you enter the ticketing office so that you can go into the rest of the museum. So it's got a lot of artwork from contemporary artists and from Renaissance period artists, as well as just the art that's in the castle itself. That's, the frescoes and the mosaics and those kind of things that are part of the castle. I do want to mention that it's in my family, it's legend that we are actually descended from the people who lived here, from Lucretia Borgia. I was able last summer, I spent about a month here, and I was able to follow her lineage down to a point and my lineage up to a point, but we're still missing about 4 generations of people that would connect us together in order to verify that that's the case. But it's kind of a cool thing if that is the case, and it's a neat thing to think about even if it's not really the case. We do really, really love the city of Ferrara. It is a clean city. It is a friendly city. It's a fairly easy to get around for an old medieval European city. Lots of really neat things to do here. We'll take you on kind of a little bit of a tour of those kind of things, but we are not going to go in the castle today. Let's move on to our next location. So we're currently in the piazza just outside the Cathedral of Ferrara. This cathedral has actually been under renovation the whole time we've been coming here, in the year plus that we've been coming. It was actually built in the 12th century, but then renovated to get its marble facade added to it during the late 13th century. So it's getting that restored. The marble is getting restored anyway. You can see underneath, though, the church, you can see all these shops here, and that's one of the really cool things that we love about a lot of places we've been in Europe. When they repurpose a space, it's not like a museum that you just have to go in and look at. They actually use the space. A lot of places that we were in along the Dalmatian coast, like actual churches and castles and those kind of things, have been turned into apartments. So yes, they still stand as like the relic of the time, but they're actually utilized in a way that makes sense for the modern world. This piazza, along with the piazza behind the castle, often holds a market. So like the Sunday markets or the Friday markets will be here. And also during the summer, the music festival is held in this piazza right down here. In fact, the Lumineers were just here the other night, and the band Europe is coming next week. So all summer long, it's just a lot of concerts and things that are happening in this particular piazza. It's for the most part closed to traffic, so you'll see a lot of bicycles, scooters. We did rent scooters when we were here last year to get around, but you'll also see some service vehicles and some buses, and occasionally a car come through these piazzas. You do need to have like a special permit in order to drive through here, because the city wants to know that you belong here, as opposed to just congesting this whole area with traffic that's meant for pedestrians to do their shopping and stop at their cafe and go to their pharmacy and do those kind of things. We're standing just outside the Palazzo dei Diamanti, which is the Palace of Diamonds. This was built by the d'Este family for the Duke's brother. The construction began in the late 1400s and ended in the early 1500s. The d'Este family, in various combinations, inhabited this palace for about 100 years. And then it kind of sat dormant after the Holy Roman Empire kind of took over the area. And then in the mid-1800s, the city of Ferrara bought it from the d'Este family and turned it into the museum. And it now is the home of the National Picture Gallery.
So as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, we've been traveling for a few weeks now, and it's a bit of an unusual story on our travel itself and how we got here. We had some different plans originally. Do you want to talk about those first?
Yeah, so we had a whole summer of travel planned, really just full-time travel. We had planned to do 21 countries in 47 days. So it was really going to be like a very fast travel. Our original plan was to fly to London. Neither one of us has ever been to London, so we were going to fly to London and spend a few days there. And then from there, we were going to fly into Copenhagen, where we were going to get on a cruise of the North Sea. So from there, we were going to start in Denmark, of course. We were going to Germany and Poland and Latvia and Lithuania and Sweden. And then I think that was it for that cruise. And then back to Copenhagen, where we were going to spend a few days. Then we were going to fly into Italy, spend a little bit of time here, and then we were actually going to drive through Eastern Europe, through basically Second World.
Yeah, another 10, 12 countries. We hadn't really had it completely set, but you know.
But pretty close, yeah. So that came to an abrupt end when Jeff woke up with a detached retina one morning. So if you know anything about a detached retina, they put a little gas bubble in your eye to hold the retina to the back of your eye, which means there's like nitrogen or some form of gas in
something
there.
Like that. I don't remember the exact combination.
But you can't fly because the pressure will change the pressure of the gas and it will damage your eye.
Yeah,
so,
and it's 6 to 8 weeks, the particular gas they use, before it dissipates out of your eye. That's why the band I was showing here a minute ago, it's just like a medical alert, letting doctors know that if I had to be treated for something else, that I have a gas bubble in my eye. But that kind of ruins the plans of flying to London.
Yeah.
So a week after I had the surgery, I had a follow-up, of course, to see how things were going, and my eye was doing, and still is doing, quite well. So we were trying to decide what else to do for the summer. Originally, we were thinking about driving around the East Coast, maybe some other areas, but Felicia found a different way for us to get to Europe.
I sure did. And if you know me, you know I'm cheap. So you know it was inexpensive and last minute, right? So at 9 o'clock the night prior, we actually booked a transatlantic cruise to Lisbon, Portugal.
Yeah. It was a 12-night, actually 13-day, 12-night cruise, and stopped at a lot of destinations. We've done a lot of filming in the last few weeks, and we plan on sharing separate videos on those in the coming weeks. But we set off from Cape Canaveral, Florida, and where was our first destination?
Our first stop was Bahamas, where there was a pouring torrential downpour and thunderstorm. And we didn't let that stop us, though. We drank margaritas on the beach in the thunderstorm because, you know, we could. So then we spent 6 additional days at sea in a row after that.
Right, and amazingly calm seas. One of the things, I don't get seasick at all, but I was a little bit worried about, you know, some Atlantic storms and choppy seas, but it was actually a great trip. It was like the smoother than the Mediterranean that we've been in before. It was a great time, and we came across our first destination, which was where?
We first stopped in the Azores off the coast of Portugal. So we stopped at a little volcanic island, part of an archipelago off the coast of Portugal, and enjoyed a day there.
Another day at sea after that, and then another island, which was where?
Madeira, which actually is part of Portugal, but it's off the coast of Africa. So we were kind of on the African continental plate, or where the plates meet. So it was pretty far south. And that was a pretty cool place too. I actually liked Madeira.
We did quite a few different things, but one of the highlights of it for me anyway is we rode a toboggan down the hill.
Straight down a mountain, like, with 2 guys steering us from behind. Like, it was a little bit crazy, but you know, it was a cool experience that we had for sure.
Yep. Then another day at sea, and then finally made it to
Lisbon, Portugal. We really loved Lisbon. We thought Lisbon was a really great city. We'd never been there previously, so we're definitely looking forward to visiting there when we can spend more than just the day there. While we were on that ship, Jeff actually realized that that ship kept going. And since our end game was to end up in Italy with our family, we looked and realized that ship was going all the way to Italy. So we booked on the transatlantic cruise, we booked the Mediterranean cruise that got us to Italy.
Yeah, we weren't able to stay in our same room, but we moved, about like 5 or 6 rooms over. They moved all our bags for us. And so we left Lisbon, headed through one of your bucket list items, which was?
The Strait of Gibraltar. sailed through the Strait of Gibraltar with Africa on one side and Europe on the other side, and it was pretty amazing because you almost felt like you could reach out and touch both continents at the same time. That was a really, really cool experience.
Yeah, something I never really thought I'd do. I mean, it's something I wanted to do, but probably was not going to go out of my way to make happen, so it was kind of cool that we got to do that. So after making our way through the Strait of Gibraltar, we ended up at our first destination on the second part of this cruise, which was a city on the southern coast of Spain, which was
Malaga. So Malaga was not someplace we ever would have thought to go on our own, but it's actually really cool. If you ever get an opportunity to go there, it's a coastal town in Spain. You get a lot of the Spanish culture and those kind of things, but it's just pretty chill.
Yeah, clean, friendly people, good food.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so we left there, and our next destination was an island in the Mediterranean, something that I had heard of before, but honestly couldn't have told you where in the world it was, and it was the island of
Ibiza. So we spent a day in Ibiza at the beaches, so we do have a full video of that as well that we'll be sharing with you. Ibiza is known for a couple things. It's techno music clubs and its beaches. We didn't hit the clubs because we weren't there long enough to do that, nor is it particularly our thing at this stage in our lives, but we did go to the beach, so we've got some interesting things to share with you about that.
Yep. Then we headed north from there. I think it was about, 50 miles, 75 miles or something, to another island, part of the same chain, which was the island of
Mallorca, also part of Spain. So off the coast of Spain, another just kind of island vibe tourist destination that was pretty cool. We liked it.
Yeah, and quite a bit bigger in Ibiza, and actually I think more things to do because it's not really just about the discos and the beaches. So if I was to head back to one of those, I would probably go to Mallorca over Ibiza.
Oh, me too. Yeah.
And then after that, we headed back to the mainland of Spain, and probably my favorite destination on the cruise, which was a city on the mainland again in Spain, which was
Barcelona. So we really loved Barcelona. We definitely are planning to spend some time back in Barcelona. We briefly toyed with going there next summer, but it's so hot this time of year, so I think we need to pick a different time of year to be in Barcelona. But absolutely my favorite place on our whole Transatlantic cruise, which was 21 days in total. So Barcelona is really just an amazing city. If you've not had an opportunity to go, absolutely do that. We're looking forward to spending more than just a day there when we travel there for real in the not too distant future, hopefully.
Yeah. And then our next destination was in another country on the southern coast of France, which was the city of
Marseille.
Yeah. So, not all that impressed. Nice. No. There were some nice areas. But we'll talk more in detail on the video that we'll eventually release on that city. But
and we are going to be back in Marseille next summer. Yeah. We already have plans booked for Marseille for next summer, so we can really speak on it quite a bit after we've done that. But we'll release the video and let you know, and you can decide what you think about Marseille.
Right. And the next day we headed to another city in France, but we actually didn't stay there. So what was that city, and where did we go?
So we went to Villefranche de Mer, actually, right? So like the city on the coast, but it's an 11-minute train ride from Monaco. So we decided we would go ahead and head to Monaco because we knew we'd be back in the south of France next summer, but the odds that we'd also get to go to Monaco were a little bit slimmer for next year, and we were like, we're right here.
Yeah, we're so close.
We gotta go to Monaco.
And it was, like $4 train tickets to get there.
Yeah, it was super
like
cheap,
that.
super quick, super easy. So like, we went and hung out in Monte Carlo, Monaco for the day, which was pretty cool. And then we came back to France and had lunch.
That we did.
Why not?
So after that short day trip to Monaco, we got back on the ship, and the next day we were finally here in Italy, in the port of Livorno on the west coast of the city, which is very close to Pisa. We didn't really get a chance to visit anything there because we wanted to visit our family here, so we hopped a train and ended up here in Ferrara, Italy.
Right. Currently, we're sitting in a public park, which is actually a pretty vast, expansive park in the middle of the city of Ferrara, right across from the botanical gardens as well. Both are free and open to the public, but if you're going to visit either one of these places, check the hours because the hours are a little bit limited.
Yeah, especially on the botanical gardens. Yeah.
But we love both these places. We come here almost every day. We come to the park. There's a little cafe in the park. The botanical gardens has little turtles and things like that. One thing we didn't mention about the city of Ferrara, old Ferrara is actually walled in. So this is an old medieval city and it is inside the wall. And so we like to hang out here inside the wall. This is where our favorite places are, I would say. The history, the culture,
Right.
those kind of things really speak to us inside the wall. Last summer we did rent an Airbnb outside the wall, which is a little more modern and commercial and those kind of things. So if those are the things that you're looking for, also a great expansion to the city, but we really love it inside the wall. So we tend to hang out here.
Yeah, so as we mentioned earlier, our plans kind of completely changed. At this point, I need to remain here in Europe for at least a few more weeks until that air bubble in my eye goes away. So I might be doing some adventures here on my own, but in the meantime, Felicia has to head back here to the States and start planning our next vacation, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna go back and take care of some things back at home that need our attention, and then maybe work some extra summer hours so I can bank a little bit more money for our next vacation. What do you think?
Sounds like a plan. And as we mentioned, we will be releasing videos on all those destinations we stopped along the way here. So don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel here and share it with your friends if you think they might be interested in some of our adventures. So thanks a lot for watching and hope to see you in the next video.